Guys, the 4th round of Yeezys is going to be dropping very soon, so today we're getting into all of them. So just to quickly recap on the previous waves, it started with this lineup on August the 2nd with 350s, Quantums, 450s, 500s, and even a pair of foam runners and slides. This is actually not a bad drop. There was some gems in there, but just generally speaking, there was a ton of pairs. And then straight after that, on August the 9th, the next round uploaded to the app. And this one was actually pretty solid because it had some pairs that we've never seen before. We got the 500 tactical boots, more foam runners, more slides, and even a really solid lineup of 350s. Third round kicked off on August the 16th, and this lineup of Yeezys was probably the most hyped that we'd seen up to this point. We got the return of the static 350s, the MX Dark Soul, utility black 700s, and even a restock of the iconic Yeezy 700 Wave Runner. Now, the Wave Runners actually ended up being insanely limited, like hardly anybody actually got them, but hey, at least they dropped. And that brings us to today, kicking off the 4th round of Yeezy releases, starting with the Yeezy 350 Slate. Now, the draw is open for this pair on the Adidas Confirmed app, so you can go and enter. The draw actually ends on August the 28th. Now, they retail for £200 here in the UK and $230 if you're out in the US. Now, this colorway is very similar to the Granite 350s, which literally just dropped. In fact, I'd say if you did buy the Granite 350s, I would probably just pass on this pair just because the colorways are so similar. Now, if you guys don't remember, the Yeezy 350 Slate actually dropped before in 2022 in September. That kind of leads me to believe that this restock is just going to be leftover pairs from that original release. All I'm going to say is that potentially this restock could be relatively limited depending on whether they produce new pairs or if they are just leftover pairs from the original release. I mean, I personally think it's a very solid colorway. It's literally just an inverse of the Oreo 350s. They literally just swapped the colors around. It kind of gives you the OG 350 vibes just with a new updated colorway. Now, these, like most Yeezy 350s, do run small, so I would recommend at least going a half size up, potentially even a full size up if you do have wider feet. Overall, it's a solid pair of 350s, but nothing we haven't seen before, so I don't expect people to go crazy for this pair, especially considering the amount of Yeezys that are dropping this month. Next up, we got the Yeezy Slide Granite. The draw is also live for this pair on the Adidas Confirmed app, so you can go and enter it now. The draw actually ends on August the 25th. Like all Yeezy slides, they retail for £60 here in the UK, or if you're out in the US, $70. Now, the weird and slightly funny thing about this pair of slides is they practically look identical to most of the other slides that have been dropping this month. In fact, the B-roll that you're looking at right now is actually of the Yeezy Slide Slate Gray. And honestly, if I didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't know. So yeah, this new colorway is so similar to the Slate Grays that if you bought that pair, you definitely don't need to buy this one. Maybe if you got the Slate Marine colorway and you want something a little bit darker, a little bit more gray, then yeah, sure, this is a good colorway to have. It is definitely a nice pair of slides to have. It's super easy to style, being all over a blackish gray color. I definitely recommend this pair, especially for that retail price if you were looking for a fresh new pair of Yeezy slides. Now, these will definitely sell out, even though we've seen quite a few Yeezy slides drop this month, and even though they do look similar to the previous 2 colorways that just released, these are gone. Don't trust me, these are not sitting around. And even if they don't end up reselling for a ton of money straight after the release, I can see the price on these things going up in the future, especially when all of these Yeezy restocks end and the collaboration is inevitably over. The Yeezy Slide is literally one of the most hyped Yeezy models you can buy. It seems like everybody wants a pair. It's incredibly comfortable, and especially if you can get it for a retail price, it's a solid option. Sizing, it's always a little bit weird when it comes to the Yeezy Slide just because it's so inconsistent across the board, so depending on what colorway you have, it could be completely different to another colorway. Nevertheless, I went true to size on both the Slate Marines and the Slate Gray, and they fit me just fine. They are definitely on the tighter side, so if you have wider feet, I'd recommend just going up a full size. One of these sneakers is fake, so we need to find out which one. Feel free to guess now in the comments, but no cheating. Now, one of these pairs I personally bought from Adidas, and the other one is my friend's pair, who unfortunately bought them thinking he was getting a steal. So we're gonna use the Check app, which, if you didn't know, is an app that uses both human and AI to authenticate sneakers. And they've done nearly 2 million legit checks on the app, saving a ton of people from getting stuck with fake sneakers. So what you need to do is upload a series of detailed images of specific parts of the shoe, like the stitching, the size tag, and the back of the insole, and you can actually get it checked in just 15 minutes, which is great if you're in a rush. Okay, the legit check is done. Moment of truth. Okay, so the Check app said that the Yeezy 700 Mauve is the fake pair, which is right. I got the Wave Runners from Adidas. It even tells you why it didn't pass authentication. So download the app and try it for yourself with a free credit if you use the promo code Elliot on sign up. And thank you to the Check app for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. Alright, next up is a pair that we haven't seen in quite a while, and that is the Yeezy 350 Blue Tint. Now at the time of recording, these actually haven't loaded up on the Adidas confirmed app just yet, which is a strategy that we've seen Adidas implement throughout the entire month. So I would expect a shock drop for this pair to happen over the next couple days. It could load up literally today, the 23rd of August, or most likely the 24th of August. These retail for the same £200 here in the UK or $230 if you're around the US. These did actually have a restock, I believe, in 2021 or 2022. However, I'm almost certain that that was just for the EU and the US didn't actually get that restock, so there are a lot of people who have been wanting this pair for a very long time. I mean, it's a very similar colorway to the iconic Yeezy 350 Zebra. It basically just swaps all of the white for a very light blue tint and then switches up all of the black stripes that you find on the Zebras for a kind of faded gray color. Now, it still has the red SPLY 350 text on the side, and of course the pull tab on the back, which is something that I always loved on 350s. They look great on foot, and of course because it's a Yeezy 350 with that full-length boost, they're insanely comfortable. And again, because this is definitely a colorway of the 350 that is more sought after, once all of these restocks end and the collaboration inevitably ends, the price on these could potentially go up in the future. And of course for sizing, just like most other 350s, these do run small, so I would recommend at least a half size up. Alright, next up is probably one of my favorite pairs of all time, the Yeezy 700 V3 Azael. These are in a similar situation to the Yeezy 350 Blue Tint, where they actually haven't loaded up to the Adidas confirmed app just yet. So you can expect a shock drop draw at any point between today, the 24th is probably the most likely, but also anywhere up until the 28th. Now, these retail for £175 here in the UK and $200 for you guys out in the US. So when this pair of sneakers originally released back in 2019, these were a US exclusive, which made them extremely limited. It's the very first colorway of the Yeezy 700 V3 model. These things were insanely expensive all the way up to when they most recently restocked in 2022. Now, because that restock was so recent, I'm expecting this release to kind of just be leftover pairs, but again, we don't know that just yet. Adidas could have produced new ones. Now, this is the pair of Yeezys that I always wanted to get my hands on. So I had to wait all the way until 2022 to finally get my hands on this pair, and I've never looked back since. It's honestly one of my most worn sneakers that I have in my rotation. Now, despite this pair being one of the very few Yeezys that don't have boost, they are still pretty comfortable. Now, granted, they're not going to be as comfortable as a lot of the other Yeezys that do have full-length boost, but overall, it's an easy wear. It's super breathable, so a great summer shoe. But I will say for sizing, like a lot of Yeezys at this point, they do run a little bit small, so I would recommend going up a half size. So I might even put my name in the hat and try and get me a double up. Now, the resale price on these isn't actually that high. Ever since the restock, it came crashing down, and it's pretty much stayed around that point ever since. But again, my guess would be once all of these restocks ends, considering this is an original colorway of the Yeezy 700 V3, that price would eventually start moving up. Alright, moving on to another pair, which is also one of my favorite of all time, is the Yeezy 700 V2 Static. Now, these again haven't loaded up on the Adidas confirmed app and are also unfortunately a US exclusive. So again, like most of the pairs on today's list, just be on the lookout for the Adidas confirmed app raffle to load up either today, the 24th, or anywhere up until the 28th. Keep in mind, retailers are also loading up raffles for all of these pairs as well, so you can always just enter raffles over there. Now, these retail for £250 here in the UK or $300 for you guys out in the US. Some Yeezy 700s have actually been lowered in price by Adidas, I think to about $250, £230. Considering the Wave Runners were still $300, I don't have too much hope for this pair being lowered either. Now, this is another original colorway of the 700 V2 model. I mean, literally, at one point, these things were reselling for up to $1,000. Now, I will say that the B-roll you're seeing on the screen is not the 700 V2 Statics, it's actually the cream colorway, which dropped in 2021. It's an almost identical pair to the Statics, just swap out the white for this cream color. Now, to this day, this is one of my most worn sneakers that I have in my rotation. I wear these things everywhere, to the gym, traveling, running errands. They are incredibly comfortable and just an easy pair to throw on. And for sizing, these are definitely not as tight as the 700 V1, so I would actually recommend staying with your true to size on this pair. Now, I think this is a great pair of shoes to pick up. Granted, it is definitely more on the pricey side. It is not cheap whatsoever, but if you wear them as much as I do, I think it's worth it. So there you go, guys. That is all of the sneakers dropping as part of this fourth wave of Yeezy restocks. It's very likely that this is also the final round of restocks that we're going to be getting this month. At the same time, a lot of rumors and leaks of different new Yeezy sneakers have actually been popping up fairly recently. Like we saw those gray MX Yeezy foam runners, saw this new salt colorway of the Yeezy Slide, the tan colorway of the 500 tactical boot, and there's even been some rumors circulating the internet that the vermilion colorway of the Yeezy foam runner will also be dropping at some point soon. So if this fourth round isn't the final round of Yeezys, well then the next batch should load up on August the 28th. And obviously that round could consist of some of the sneakers that I just mentioned. So it could definitely get pretty interesting. But of course, I'll keep you guys up to date on all of the latest leaks and rumors, so all you gotta do is just subscribe to the channel and you can stay in the loop. And check out that video over there for the top 5 best new Yeezys.